Oh, hey there, everyone. Thought I'd jump back into my KonFlikt '47 Stahltruppen build and just where I left off from last time. This is me working on the vehicle that came in the starter set for the Axis Army and putting over a layer of camouflage paint and getting that vehicle finished. But as you can see here, it's all done. And I'm going to jump right into the Stahltruppen, which in this case I used, I believe it was Gorther Brown, to basically stipple all over my black primer and to try to give it a little bit of a damaged look overall. And, you don't have to be too crazy with the paint, but, the idea is to keep some of the black showing through the various parts of the model itself. Almost like you're working on a stormtrooper, but in brown. And once you get all your models covered in brown, you want to look at something like this, the AK Camouflage Putty. It's pretty easy to use. I've had this for maybe a good year or so now. It's actually meant for airbrushing, but I've been using it for everyday painting pretty much. And I recommend it if you want to do camouflage, so it's worthwhile picking up. I do plan on using it for airbrushing, but in this case, I didn't bother. So yeah, I've got a couple of different colors in mind for the camouflage for this, for these guys. And, basically you want to do a little bit of dry brushing, a little bit of stipulation going on with the brown, the gray and the brown, and then the gray. I believe I used rust gray to get everything sort of grayed out with my crusty looking brush. And after you're done, that you can start to take off the AK camouflage or the paint mask rather. Yeah, I'd say it's a little bit gooey to use, but it's kind of fun to take it on to use it. And I've been always pretty pleased with the results so far anyways. I think once I get around to using it with some airbrushing, it should look pretty good. I'm going to try to do it on some much larger vehicles, but after you're done, you should get some kind of a look similar to these models right here. So what I decided to do was fill in some of the gaps and the cracks that sort of made the armor look like it was over top of a jumpsuit, kind of like a stormtrooper. So what I ended up doing was using the contrast black Legion paint to just fill in those gaps, and using a fine brush and the contrast paint allows it to get into the nooks and crannies a little easier. And while you're at it, you can kind of cover off anything that you wanted to get black in the first place, a good layer of paint. Now, I don't know if there's a rule for camouflage paint, but in this case, I was always thinking like you should have more than two colors. I mean, I guess you could, but like really good camouflage should be maybe three colors. So, I thought, well, why don't I just add a little bit of Lauren Forest to the models? And what I decided to do was just sort of follow a random pattern, and I think it turned out pretty good. Now onto the commander itself. I decided to use a variety of different reds to bring out the cloak. And I used, I think it was corn red, a little bit of Mephiston red, and Evil Sun Scarlet for the highlights. And after that, I thought all the metal that on the backpack or the belts, I covered them with lead belcher, which really started to bring out the details of the model themselves and not just be totally randomly painted in camouflage paint. So once you get past doing all the details for the camouflage part, filling in like the various, I don't know what you call it, hydraulics and metal components with lead belcher really, again, brings up the model's details. And once you get all the metal areas finished, you can look at using some Nuln oil. And in this step, I decided to use it all over the model, which not really a good idea because it kind of covered all the detail that I did. So I kind of wish I did it separately, using the Nuln oil over top of the metal parts, like the lead belcher areas, and then maybe using Hagrax Earthshade for the shading of it. But at the time I was thinking, let's see how it looked. It kind of was good in a way because I was able to get all the shadows in with the Nuln oil all at once. And then all I ended up just doing was repainting some of the areas again, but it's not a big deal, not an end of the world. I would just say maybe don't do it that way. If you're happy with the colors that you chose originally, and then maybe use a different shade, like some kind of a brown shade would work. Now, after I repainted some of the areas like rust gray again, I started doing some highlights on the various edges, and I used Ferrocyan Gray. I can't say the name properly, but that's what it is, from Games Workshop, or Citadel, I should say. And, it looks pretty good if you do a little bit of detailing on not every edge, but like just some of the model. It really helps to make things look, makes it stand out a lot more. And, I'm going for a tabletop standard at this point, so whatever it looks pretty good to the eye from a distance should be good enough. And for the commander, I went back over some of the key areas of the red, and repainting some of the Mephistoton, I can't say it, red, and Evil Sun Scarlet is a good highlight. So I would recommend investing in a few different reds for your collection. Yeah, and then for the basing, I just simply painted over the black button with Gorthra Brown and a little bit of the ivory paint as well, and just sort of give it a bit of a highlight with some of the colors that I had been using throughout the build. Yeah, for the weapons, I used lead belcher again, just dry brushed a little bit on all the edges of the weapons, just to give them a little bit of detail, and they turned out pretty good. And for the commander's head, I opted to use a few different colors. Basically, I used a base layer of Cadian flesh tone, Kislev flesh for highlights, and then before I used that, I used Reichland flesh shade on his face as well as his hair. And then his hair, I used AK Ivory to kind of give him a different, almost a blonde hairdo, is what I was going for. And I did make some mistakes with the coloration and with the painting, so I kind of did a little bit of correcting, but I think it turned out pretty good. I am going to invest in a smaller brush a much more detailed brush in practice doing eyes again, but I was happy with the way it looked for now, and I think it is good enough for the tabletop. But yeah, I did make the eyes look a little goofy beforehand, but I ended up just redoing it all and then making some highlights, and it looks pretty decent. So here we have our completed mini army of Stahltruppen with a leader, and I think they turned out pretty good. I opted to leave the shoulder pads or the extra rubber armor that kind of looks like the old Demolition Man from with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone for some reason, but some people paint those metal. I decided to leave them black just to be a little different in my look, and I think they turned out pretty good. But as you can see, all the detail from the dry brushing to the Nuln Oil and the camouflage makes them looks pretty good. Maybe a little shiny, but probably what I could have done is used like a flat layer over top. Maybe I might still do that, but again, these are for actually playing with and not just sitting on a shelf. So I didn't mind how they turned out. Hopefully you guys liked them, and please let me know what you think down below. I'm just getting better at my painting again and getting back into it, so hopefully over time things will look pretty good, and stay tuned for more.